Welcome, guys. Good evening for few of people like me. Good morning for many of you. Thank you for taking time to joining this amazing endeavor, Safe Day India. And thanks to Cyberbahn team for giving me this excellent opportunity to actually voice my experiences. That's of immense importance. So today I'm going to take a stab at sharing some of my personal notes with an agile transformation journey we had within a regional government entity. And just to give you a quick background, my name is Ramesh Nori, SPCT. I live in Florida, the paradise of the world, Florida, USA. So this is about a local government, Miami-Dade County, which is one of the largest segments here in terms of local and kind of funded by federal government to a certain extent, right? So just to start with the context. It's a large size regional government, like I said, Miami-Dade, extremely top down on governance. I mean, come on, show me a government entity which is not top down. It's impossible to find that nowadays. And highly political because every election year winds change. It gets influenced left and right, up and down. And to the extent that few individuals actually lose jobs the moment government changes, right? And then a lot of resource mindset. There is no concept of team member. Resource is the thing. Every person is handled as if like they're a commodity. It's unfortunate reality of the world. Accountability is often misplaced, or maybe it's lack thereof. Then one of the critical issues this entity had is the lack of single source of truth. The information is there, but it's so hard to connect left hand, right, thumb to the right hand thumb. That much painful it is. And because of that, whoever is a knowledge worker, whoever has that innate ability to survive in the time of need, the specialized skilled workers, they actually leave the enterprise, leave that entity, and that leaves a big scar on the enterprise. Now, most important thing is this inherent feeling with the transformation team that actually was, I was fortunate to help out, is that they feel like they are managing the bridge in between the stakeholders on one end, which is the political entities, the mayors and so-called, and the customers who are the citizens of the county. They do not have control on either side. So it's not really a true agile way of Kool-Aid that we talk and drink about, right? When we say, hey, be customer centric, hey, make sure stakeholders are aware of this, aware of that. It's literally very hard situation. And the list goes on and on. Unfortunately, we do not have that kind of a time and space to discuss all these things. So when I came across this, it all started, guys, with one of the leading safe session that we offered in Miami. Being an SPCT before I became a T, I was offering pretty, robust classes here in Miami area. Now I'm offering more of SPC and advanced courses. And in one of the leading SAFE sessions, because SAFE for Gov was not launched yet. SAFE for Gov was launched in, I believe, May of 2018 or towards end of 2019. At that time, SAFE for Gov was not there. So these guys, a few individuals from this county joined that leading SAFE session. And slowly we started having conversations as a part of, many of you might have taken a SAFE class. We have these interactive sessions, break times, etc., etc. And slowly the conversation started on, how can I do this? How can I fix this? So on and so forth. And those conversations resulted in more conversations, and we actually set up an exclusive session post the leading safe class, just to discuss what are the issues, what are the troubles they are facing, and how I can be of some assistance. And ultimately, the whole idea they projected is like, hey, we need this utopia state. Because in leading safe, you painted us such a great picture of how scalability works, how an enterprise can change the whole organization from, peanuts to building a huge, nice scaled model. So can you at least help us with bare bones such as transparency, the alignment, accountability, and few other core values and lean agile principles? And that's where it all started. And something that resonated very well with me, guys, on that day they said was, can we not use the word agile? Because our stakeholders don't like it. The political leaders don't like it. They think agile is a farce. Right? We don't want to hear the word safe. We don't want to hear the word agile, but still we, as the people who manage these systems, we want to become, agile. That was a very tough nut to crack. So anyway, took a stab at it. Why not? We are adventurous people. So we started with it. Now I'll go in slide by slide in terms of steps. The first thing I worked with them is I identified who it is, the entity. You need to know who the entity is, right? Because this is the notes from the trenches. In case you end up with a government-oriented transformation, perhaps my humble hope is that this is going to help you with that. So First thing, we identified who. And then what I did was I tried to understand the scope of their work. Where are they actually actively participating? And I was blown away. This is called ITD, Information Technology Department of Miami-Dade County. And I'm telling you, their fingers are everywhere. These are the central hub for everything, starting from individual municipal governments, local law agencies, you talk about airport operations, public parking, beaches management, public transport, school district, water management, so on. You just name it. And that actually triggered an amazing thought for me, saying, you know what? When you're naming all these things, can you find one or two individuals from each entity here? And let's call them as stakeholders. Okay. So we understood who the entity, who is the actual transformation and need to happen with whom, what is the scope, like what they want to do, and who the stakeholders are. That was the step one. Once that is done, then we went into step two, which is I sat with these three individuals and we actually requested them to perform a SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is something that helps you with identifying what are the strengths this team has, the transformation team, what are the weaknesses they have, and what are the threats in the market space for them, and what are the opportunities they have. And there came my actual rapport with them, where unfortunately the details are confidential. Nobody will share that out. However, what we did was, is there any way you can identify your weaknesses and look at the opportunities so that you can convert your weaknesses into strengths? And that took us about a month. Truth be told, in government, everything is slow, guys. Everything is slow. So we did that. In the same way, we identified the threats to the organization and said, what are the fundamental threats and how we can actually convert them either into an opportunity or a strength? How can we do that? What is that that can give us that capability that can help us to do it? So with that, then we move to step number 3, where after doing that exercise of SWOT analysis and thinking in terms of initiatives, right, we were able to come up with a boatload of initiatives for over a month time. It includes that IT consolidation, right? Having single source of truth. How can we handle the ERP setup to exercise this, communication across all the entities? How can we have business relationship management? Because in government sector, business relationship management is often ignored. So I suggest them, you need to actually start providing information and communication to your customers who are the citizens so that they can start actually trusting you. If they trust you, they will actually come back to you more, they'll gain your trust and you can actually provide more insights into what is happening. Then we went into enterprise asset management. Where is all the asset? You need to have clarity. Otherwise, your stakeholders do not know how to allocate budgets or not. Then let's rely on some artificial intelligence solutions, maybe BI platforms, so on and so forth. Then went into how you can optimize and improve every individual system available. Because when you are talking about a government entity, you cannot show biases. You cannot play favorites. So we went through this one by one, week after week, identified the different initiatives like jail management system, parking system for public. How can we improve public transportation? How can we improve parks and recreation system? How can we improve call center for voice consolidation? Street lighting, road service, you name it, right? Once we did that, now came the question. We had like 4 pages of information, 4 literally, 8.5 by 11 sheets. And then what we did was, we need to prioritize it. There came the magic sauce we have, guys, from SAFE, which is WSJF exercise. But the problem came, who should actually participate in this WSJF exercise? Weighted shortest job first. And that's where what we did, we went to the stakeholders we identified from step 1 and said, let's invite them for a town hall meeting. So we did a half-a-day town hall meeting. We sent an invitation, very nice invitation, everybody, lunch served. And we set up something similar to an open space forum, where all the stakeholders walked in. We explained them the intent and we told them that, hey, can you help play a small game with us? It should take no more than half an hour. It's a WSJF exercise. And it was very unique because we had almost close to 72 people, I believe, more or less 70 plus people who actually participate in WSJF exercise. And that's, in my personal life, guys, one of the largest WSJF exercise I have ever done. Is it easy? No. Is it hard? Not that hard, because it's more of a training for the stakeholders who have no clue what is WJF. We were just guiding them, do the first column, do the second column, so on and so forth. Finally, what happened? It resulted in some kind of a high-level prioritization for these initiatives. Now that we have that clear, what is important, right? Prioritization in terms of the county needs, then we did like, hey, you know what, guys? 2 weeks later, we are going to invite you back into a session to help us identify the budget allocations, because Miami-Dade County works on a yearly budget. As the fiscal year is approaching, we got a whole number, and then we said, let's do it. Again comes the magic sauce from SAFE. That's why I'm so thankful, because the amount of work SAFE put in was phenomenal. We relied heavily on the participatory budgeting forum concept. And using that, what we did was we actually worked with all the stakeholders who participated, explained them the initiatives, helped them understand how to allocate, and we got printed so much of monopoly money. We got it printed with different colors, different dollars. It was an amazing exercise. We played that, and once that is done with all these 70 plus individuals, now that gave us the so-called EPMO, that's helping the transformation, a good insight into how to distribute the funds. Right? So once the distribution of funds was identified, now what we did was we started kind of coming up with a strategic way of making sure that the dreams are becoming a reality. So far, everything is hocus pocus. If you look at it from a stakeholder point of view, they haven't seen any tangible evidence of something is going to work. That's when we started sharing, hey guys, first step, bring in alignment. How do you do that? Share the meeting outcomes with all the stakeholders. Help them understand what is the work we did. What are all the initiatives identified, how they were prioritized, and then just start sharing with them how the budget allocation happened, which is based on the public voice. Okay, so that helped us with that's dropping the seed of alignment. We sow the seed. Now, next most important thing what we did was we leveraged the existing BI platform they had. Pretty archaic, not so great. However, there is something is better than nothing. We started with that and invested in building the transparency segment. How did we do that? We started creating dashboards and explaining to them on what are the OKRs for each initiative. Enterprise resource planning, for example, what are the key results? Basically, all the information should stay in central repository. It should have security. We have to do this. We have to do that. Like that, we identified OKRs for each initiative and shared with them. Once that is done, then we looked inside. See, this is also for the outer periphery of the work. It took us about 4 to 5 months already. And then we started looking at inside, saying, now that we understood, guys, let's watch the video of penguins from, Cotter. And then said, who are those 10, 15 individuals who can help us, in order to just make sure these ideas become reality. And there we came up with 26 individuals that formed an EPMO team. Of course, multiple Agile teams. Remember, we are not supposed to use any word of Agile. We are not supposed to say anything about SAFE because the stakeholders don't like it. I don't know, it's a taboo thing. However, we are still ingraining them into that mindset of lean, public communication, collaboration. Slowly, the whole interaction is trying to improve. Once that is done, once the EPMO team happened, now what we did was the very next step, which is we created multiple initiative delivery groups. We renamed it again. You call it a tomato, you call it a tomato, doesn't matter. We in SAFE call it as Agile release trains, right? However, here we call them as initiative delivery groups. We jived well. I'm happy because they are eventually going to come back to SAFE and then say, oh, these are nothing but arts. Perfect. So we identified them. We started with a total of 6 trains. The sizing ranges from anywhere to 60 to 80 people, because in government sector, it is very hard to have a pull mentality. I do not understand why. It's hard. These are not the folks that are born Agile. They have seen a lot of negative taboo things in their life. So it's hard for them to trust people. So finally, it took us about a month and a half. We were able to start. So the time is running already almost 6 months into it. And then we were able to get 6 trains ready. Once that is there, now I started slowly explaining about the strategic themes, how the vision should be there. By the way, truth be told, we never did value stream identification, because had I approached that way, they would have shut down the whole thing, because no, you don't want that. They already have a kind of a value driven by whatever the politicians have decided as their mandate. So that's what we took it. And from there, we started our initiatives, and there we started our delivery groups, basically trains. And once that is there, with the trains, we started with the mission, the vision for each initiative, and how to actually solve that, how to identify the artifacts, which are our typical features, so-called, we call it, for each initiative we saw. We started doing that. Now, one secret sauce that we did here is, guys, when we formed the teams, we gave them the opportunity to say, these are the 26 initiatives we have, guys. Pick the initiative you like. Where is your passion? We always connected to the passion of individuals. Even though it's government sector, they were so happy that we did it, because they were so used to somebody telling them, you sit here, you move left, you stand, you move right, so on and so forth. But when we gave them the opportunity, saying, guys, based on your passion and your skill set, come forward, look at it and pick the work of your choice. That was an amazing, rock and roll moment there. So once that is done, teams are ready, the product is ready for them, the initiative that they need to work on. Then we did that kaboom moment, the big room planning. Again, I'm very cautious not to use PI planning word or safe word or agile words. I just said, hey guys, it's a collective meeting. We're going to meet. Let's just talk to each other. Maybe instead of 2-3 people writing requirements, all 60-70 people will sit together and do it in an organic fashion. Is that okay? They're all happy. Why not? So that's how we started our big room planning. Now, when this is happening, the transformation team, so-called the 3 individuals, were elated, because literally they can see the SAFe being implemented, but in a very naive way, without using the word of agile, without using the word of SAFe. But hey, at the end of the day, it is safe for me. Then backlogs, delivery backlogs were prepared. Typically our program backlogs, they are called in our language. Then teams were trained in agile basics. That is the first time, about 7 months after the initiative started, is the first time I stood in front of the steering committee. They have boatload of steering committee to a steering committee, to that another steering committee, so on. So for the transformation team, I met with the steering committee. I explained them, in order to be successful, I want to share some basic fundamentals, some criteria, as it's also called working agreements you need to follow. They're like, okay, but what are they? Are they agile? Are they, PMI? What? I'm like, doesn't matter. You can call it anything, but let's do this. That's where I trained them on Agile Manifesto, talked about fundamental principles, introduced them to SAFe principles. But again, I was cautiously optimistic, kind of treading in a, nice subtle waters. And I was able to explain it to them. They took like fish to water. Awesome. And all these teams, once they started, there you go. Now they understood what is the whole concept of initiative coming down, the prioritization, the budgeting, so on and so forth. And then they understood what is the essence of big room planning. Now they understood again that their moment of, I see, now that I have the initiative here, this is what I need to do. This is how I need to actually break it down into individual tangible deliverables. And so one of the last event then it happened, which is like, reached out to stakeholders. Everybody is nervous for that, because these are the political figureheads. And then we said, you know what, we just need your help to make sure the initiative is moving well. You yourself invested multiple millions of dollars towards this. You allocated the budget. Would you be okay just come for a dog and pony show? We call it a demo in SAFe, but I told them, just a town hall meeting kind of thing. Please come over. The teams would be elated and they feel awesome to have a mayor or a vice mayor, to just attend one of these meetings. And if you cannot attend, send your top generals, top-notch guys, whoever is in your team. We just want to have your presence because it's awesome. And there was my lucky streak, because when we did that, that started the concept of feedback loops in an enterprise where they never heard of what is a feedback. They were always used to doing in a monochromatic, top-down approach. Requirement document of 1,000 pages comes to them, $1 billion budget. Nobody cares whether they are blowing off the budget. Nobody cares for deliverables. And by the time something happens, the government changes. So project is gone. You start one more. Instead of that, now there is something, a tangible deliverable is happening where the actual stakeholders are looking at it. And there, I call it as they bit the bullet, the bug. Actually, they got the bug. And that's what I was, so thankful for, because once that is done, then the next steps were very easy. We started with simply, hey, now that things are moving 1 PI, 2 PIs, let's start measuring what matters. Do not measure all the fundamental nonsense that is of no use. As a stakeholder, as the mayoral office, what is it that they are looking for? Where their money is going, how it is going to get delivered, and Are there any issues coming in the way of that? That's all it is, because it's their mandate, it's their political mandate. And in our safe language, what do we call it? Program board and PI objectives and risk backlog. Simple, guys. So instead of using that language, I explained them in their language. They were, there you go, they got it. And then I guided them not to be, so attached to the vanity metrics, move away from them. And another important thing I did was to actually encourage that it's okay to fail culture. Like, it's okay to fail. You are not expected to build a rocket ship in first round, but however, do not do it deliberately. In order to cultivate that habit, what I did was I was able to convince this transformation team to stop any metric from flowing below the team level. It stops at the team. There is no individual metrics like person A did better than person B, nothing like that. If it is a story points or full-time employee estimate or hours, whatever they are measuring, I said, stop it at the team level, because that actually removed a lot of that nuance and the pressure on the minds of the people to convert themselves into an agile way of working. Okay. Then next important thing we did was invest in an amazing BI tool. BI tool was one of the initiative. And while they were implementing SAP as an ERP package, they also invested in a BI platform so that they can have that dashboard of reports. Now what is happening? The reports are continuously flowing into the mayor's office, into the stakeholders, into the actual customers. Even now, I think if you go to miami.gov, miami-dade.gov, the website, you can actually see all the reports live available. If not live, they are recorded on a once a weekly basis, but the most accurate data. And that actually is the fundamental stepping stone for building trust. Because now the stakeholders can actually see the predictability aspect of things. They are signing big checks, they're signing big projects, but where is it going? Now they can answer to the public saying, yes, our mandate said XYZ, our priorities are this, and this is what happened so far. And that's the greatest achievement there, guys. And again, this is a work in progress. By no means it's done yet. And given that this size of the organization, it's going to be continuing for another 2 to 3 years, in my opinion, because the initiatives are still going strong. So once that is done, another important thing they did was they opened a communication channel. That was very critical gap that was identified as a part of this whole endeavor, that apparently they never had a solid communication channel. They would sometimes go to TV, they would sometimes go to Twitter, they would sometimes go to a website. But now the website they built, the new website, actually integrated all these channels together and became the prime face for anything related to the updates, as far as the updates are concerned. Okay. So then came the next one, which is the final, one of the final slides, guys, about the results. After all this, about 12 months, typically 4 delivery cycles after the big room planning, then there was that SAP implementation done. Kudos to them. It was hard to pull it off across about 26 to 27 entities in a government sector. This transformation team did phenomenal job. Thanks to SAFE, because even though we don't call it SAFE, they were actually following it. They were drinking the Kool-Aid of SAFE. In fact, my language of Kool-Aid, I picked up from there. And then they started showing the tangible, actual metrics. That budget overruns, which is chronic with government sector when compared to 2018, it had reduced by about 19%. Did the budget overruns happen still? Yeah, perhaps still they happened. However, in the initiatives they picked up, it's awesome. It's in very good control. Why? Because they followed that whole budgeting concept where people participated together, participatory budgeting, and gave the priority. As a next step after this, what they are working on right now is that lean budgeting. But for that to occur, we need to identify the value stream. So that's a big fish to fry. Coming soon in the next session, whenever that is, I'll keep you posted. But so far, that's that achievement. Then second one is the number of people who started leaving the organization reduced. They didn't understand why. Then I explained to them one of the possible reasons might be so that the folks who actually were given the opportunity to pull the work and work based on their passion, now those are the guys that were extremely happy. Small change like that actually helped them, and that also increased the pace with which the product was being built and delivered. Okay. Then the next one was about the political stakeholders. They were so happy. Now they have visibility into a consolidated BI platform. where they're actually having a straight hands-on experience when it comes to how the initiatives are doing, how much money was spent, how much progress was made, when is the next dog and pony show is going to happen, so that they can participate, so on and so forth. Okay. And last one was that public internet portal, which was never a success before. Now that was actually awesome. It's done in 10 months as soon as they started. In 10 months instead of the planned 24 months by MS Project Plan. Again, the fundamental small changes we did actually went a long way. And most important thing is, guys, they were very persistent. They believed in that 2-day class that taught them the leading safe, the concepts. They believed in it. They stuck to it. So almost 2 years later, they are doing great strides. And last I was told that, in fact, that director of this EPMO is going to publish a case study as soon as the initiatives are done within next year or two to SAFE. So I'll be extremely happy when that happens, because that's actually a very good hands-on experience when it comes to it. Okay. So with that 9-step thing, what we did, that's a very short thing. I don't want to take too much of your time. Any questions that I can help you with?
Hey Ramesh, Rahul here.
Yes.
Very, very nice insights into this one, and especially in the government stuff.
Thank
So,
you.
a couple of questions for you. One is, what was the tipping point for them? Why they wanted to change? And with related to that, another stuff I would like to know: how did they approve the budget for transformation? So, this is both related, but that's what I would like to know.
So that's interesting. I'll answer about budget first. So they never called themselves as transformation. Remember, no agile, no scale, no transformation words. So it's business as usual. So they get their budget of about 2 million, 20 million, whatever it is, right? So these 3 individuals who attended the class, they actually kind of worked for free. You can think of it that way. They redirected the funds to help with transformation. And that's why they wanted it to be very lean. They cannot have big ticket people, 5 coaches, 10 engineers coming out. No, it was just me and my colleague, 2 people only. And they themselves put that hat of a coach. It's like train the trainer concept. They themselves actually took a lot of work, man. Really appreciative of them. That's about the budget. Okay. Now, when it comes to tipping point, that leading safe class is the tipping point. In their brains, they had that aha moment when they looked at it, because they have been subjugated, subordinated, stressed, and beaten up by all this political nonsense that happens every 4 years. They said, enough is enough. We got to fix it. We cannot leave the job and go away, because our kids are growing up. Our families are settled here. We are from this city. I cannot leave and move on, unlike a private entity where you move on. And so those 3 individuals and their boss, the VP of software development, all 4 of them, they really pulled it off. And I think, my biased opinion, I shouldn't say this, but let me say it. They might have an internal connection and the blessings of mayor. They went, talked, somehow convinced, and said, this is an experiment we want to try. You will not have a problem. Something happened, which nobody will tell unless the case study is released, right? Because I'm not privy to all the conversations sometimes as an external consultant. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Very good. So small coalition is required, certainly.
Yes,
certainly
please. I mean,
difference.
all these 9 slides are my 2 years of work, my friend.
Yeah.
2 years of work put together in. That's why it is dense, the slides, but it's amazing.
Yeah, that is very summarized one, I can understand. But yeah. Thank you very much, Ramesh.
Okay, Ramesh, I have 2 questions from Uma Shankar. How did you train them in Agile without calling it Agile? That was the first question. Another one, reduction in attrition. Did that even excite the executive, given most of the people change at the end of the term anyway?
Yeah. So what happened was, so let's answer the first question. How do I use the word Agile? How do I train them in Agile without using the word Agile? I said, hey guys, I have seen this company doing this. One of the mechanisms, the way they did it to improve communication, is by having a stand-up instead of emails every day. Just talk to each other. Isn't it easy? Oh, but I am not face-to-face. What if okay, then call on the phone. Isn't it easy? So that's how I started. It was hard. I'm telling you, having a rule book and teaching people is easy, because then you have a reference, versus trying to convert it into some other language for them so they understand. It's always show and tell. I relied heavily on show and tell. I was physically there, trying to participate with them, show them what it is. And of course, I have these little 3 people mafiosos right with me, and they help me a lot, trying to help out in trying to explain it in their own language. And that worked out very well. Okay, that's first one. That's a simple example I gave. Big room planning, I explained them how beneficial it is, that how transparent it is, and how it can be a marketing stint for executive stakeholders to take a picture and say how they are working on their mandates with the group of things. And it clicked like it. Again, little bit geopolitical nonsense we have to play with, marketing stunts. So we did that. What was the second question?
Reduction in attrition. Did that even excite
Yeah.
people?
Yeah, it definitely excited people from inside out. It's not something you would advertise greatly, saying, look, last year we lost 25%, now it's only 13%. That's not a nice way. But from inside out, the confidence levels got built up very well. You can empathize, right? When you are in that position and you were asked, saying, hey, Mr. So-and-so, Rahul, pick the best work that matches to your passion, deliver, man. That's all we want. Your job is not changing. You are not going to lose the job. You want to learn some skill set, go for it. We're going to help you up to 1 month. When you do that, now that triggered a lot of positive emotion. And that positive emotion actually reflected in that reduction in attrition, jobs. It was very nice. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. There is also a small question, connected one. I would love to see the case study if it is published. I think you have talked about
I'll be first one to advertise it on my LinkedIn, I promise, because a lot of work had gone. Unfortunately, guys, my humble apologies. I am not authorized to provide too much detail, because it's a government entity. They have certain things that I am privy to, but I shouldn't in a public forum. However, when Cyberbahn team approached and said, hey, for government, do you want to share something? I couldn't hold, because all of us at one point or other would come across a government entity as a customer. And I wish that sincerely, these 9 points, if not everything, it may help you, that 1%, that 5% to step forward. And it's not rocket science. It's simple concepts. We always assume that everybody knows. So get away from the assumption, take it with the stride, make sure people understand it, and you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. It's super awesome. Excellent.
Guys, we have 7 more minutes for Ramesh. Please shoot your questions.
Yes.
Ramesh, Sumana here.
Yes, ma'am.
See, all this was possible because one aspect I feel that there was some physical presence of teams and you went and met them and all that. But in a situation like COVID, where everything is being done online and on the cloud, how you would foresee any challenges if it was being done during this COVID period? It's so difficult, to put people together and execute.
Yeah, understood. I'm not undercutting any complexity. It adds to so much of complexity, not having face-to-face discussion. Thankfully, I was blessed to be in person, so it was easy. My facial expression, the way you speak and all will convince them. However, if you look at it, Sumana, it has become new reality. Look at us. We are having a safe day virtually. Now, normally I would get 500 people, right? If you do physical room, maybe 130 people, 150 people virtually is equal to 500 people physically. I do not know. This is the new reality. So give it a try. Give it a try, because if you have passionate people, if you have passion to push it, persevere and be persistent, and those folks who are passionate to seek your help, it will trigger. I'm always assuming art of the possible and positive intent. I push forward with that. So try it, because unfortunately, this is the new reality and we don't know how long this is going to be like this. So I know that's not a basic good response, but I would recommend keep trying. And agreed, I'm with you 200%. It's not the same as face to face. Not at all.
Yes.
And of all the people, I feel the pain more because every other week we offer an SPC class and I'm looking at pictures or names on the screen instead of talking to human beings. You see, so yeah.
Thanks, Ramesh.
One more question, Ramesh. You already talked about the trust you got from or you built, right? So can you explain more on this one, that what helped you build the trust from this government entity?
First thing, we invested heavily in communication, very transparent communication, right? When I first met with the mayoral office along with these folks from transformation, I was very candid saying, sir, give us an opportunity. We do not promise. That's the biggest mistake most of us do with safe transformations. And unfortunately, safe takes the blame. I do not like that biased opinion, right? Always set the expectations appropriately. The word appropriate is in bold and red color. What do I mean by that? Do not promise all the beautiful, amazing villas and beachside resorts with margarita in hand. Safe is a hard journey depending on the product you are dealing with, depending on the enterprise you are dealing with. Sometimes you may have excellent guiding correlation, so it will help you. Sometimes it doesn't. So I took it to heart and I actually explained it to them. It's actually dealing with human beings, not resources. So there will be up and downs. So if something fails, help us out. And already we showed that it's a very minimalistic expense. And that actually triggered it because most of the folks are worried with money. Truth be told, they do not want to invest $500,000, $1 million in you if they know that it's going to fail. So what I told them is, in order to gain your trust, do not pay me until 6 months, until I show you a deliverable. No prepayment here. If you don't like the deliverable, don't pay me. It's an experience for me. And besides, I'm approaching for a tea. So I can be writing it as a kind of an article, what to do or what not to do. Either way, it's a win-win for me, you see. When I told them that in transparency that, hey, this is what I want to approach, they really liked it. They're like, man, you are nuts. You are telling me that you're going to work for free. I'm like, yeah, because this is my city. I live in this too. So if I can help you achieve some kind of a positive outcomes, I guess it's going to help me eventually. So that's my selfish proposition. That's what I told them. And they liked it. And from then on, internally to the teams, I told them, hey guys, we got to have trust. And trust is not achieved just by saying, trust me. I'm going to do this. And what is that you are going to do to me? Let's have that working agreements. And we set up these working agreements with everybody saying, guys, let's just agree to it. Let's be professionals. We are not going to do any monkey business here. Let's do the proper way, help each other out and try. Every 3 months, we are going to meet again in a town hall setting. If something is not working, we are going to fix it. I never called it as a retrospective, but I told them that. You see, whatever SAFE taught us, the same thing I actually used. And being the transparent and being very clear in your communication actually helps, Rahul. I think that's one of the fundamental, aspects of building trust. You cannot buy trust in Walmart, right? You need to build it.
That really answers my question. And also, the metrics were not set up at below the team level. That also would have built the trust.
Yes. That's why I put that line item there. Very important. Because first and foremost, in any transformation, what you need to do is comfort the people who are under duress. It's a taboo thing. The moment the word change is brought up, everybody feels scared. What we need to understand is only person in the world that likes change is a wet baby to change the diaper. Nobody else likes change. I don't like change. You don't like change. Nobody likes change. However, going back to Ashwini's point, right? We were chatting the other day. He made an important point that impressed upon me. If you can actually explain the positive outcomes that can be expected, okay, there won't be a fear of change. That is the biggest issue with many organizations. I didn't know that word, but that was what I was doing all this time. I was explaining them, not promising anything. I was telling, maybe there is a good opportunity. If you do this, this is what happens, And in addition to that, not having the team member level of metrics gave them such immense comfort. And that there they said, man, this guy walked in and, the first thing he said was no metrics at the team level. It's awesome. We like it. You see that? So that actually helped with building the trust too.
If the why is bigger, then the what becomes simpler. Something like that.
Correct. And why don't change, right? It's why is always standard. It's the what and how changes depending on your environment. That's the way you need to look at it.
Thanks a lot, Ramesh.
No problem, and great questions, Rahul. Awesome.
Thanks, Ramesh. Thanks for your talk. I think,
That's it.
there is a lot of a takeaway for not just a government organization. Many organizations are, in a way, bureaucratic as well, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
definitely these things will work. And I think, again, as we were talking the other day, it may not be the change; it's the fear of unknown that we are dealing with. Right? So
Right.
again, I think we talked about that as well. If change was fearful, we wouldn't have married, we wouldn't have had kids, we wouldn't have moved cities, you wouldn't be sitting in Florida today. So
Yep.
cool.
Beautiful. Awesome,
Thanks a
guys.
lot,
Thank you
guys.
so
Yeah.
much. And yeah, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn if you want to ping me on any questions in future. Fantastic.